What's up, guys? Eric here. Welcome to my patch 13.13 C tier list. The C patch just came out yesterday. It nerfed Lux, it nerfed Kaisa, it hit Ezreal really hard. And so I wanted to talk about how these changes and also just some sort of like meta evolutions that have gone over across this patch have affected the meta and have affected the comps that are strong. So as usual, I'm going to go from weakest to strongest. I actually got 6 comps for you, 6 whole comps this time instead of my usual 5. Just a quick note on Legends. I think Poro is really strong right now after the nerfs to Ezreal. Ezreal's still probably okay. I've seen some people playing Ornn, some people back into TF. So I think it's pretty open. I don't think Asol is like super broken. I think he's fine. So I think I'm going to be playing Poro. We'll see how the Legend meta evolves now that Ezreal is no longer the top dog. But right now it actually seems relatively balanced. That all being said, let's go into the first comp, which is Akshan Reroll. This is playing around Akshan carry. If you guys have seen some of the VODs I've been reviewing, I VOD reviewed a game of Rank 1 China Liluo playing this comp. It is really sick once you hit Akshan 3. The really important thing is that you need Akshan 3 to be stable. So I would normally play this from an opener where I high roll like 1 or 2 Akshans because you can't hit Akshan 3 if you just stabilize around this version of the board. You're usually going to go bot 4 because it just sort of like lacks the damage to kill everything. There's also a lot of variations. You're basically playing around like this core of unit, 3 Freljord and then 2 Deadeye with the Ashe. And then you're usually playing Nasus with Akshan to get Shrima in. But, you can sort of do things like very easily get in like a Cassiopeia, which gives you Invoker with Lysandra. Solid unit provides some anti-heal, so if you're afraid of like ripping through the enemy front line, you think they're going to heal up too much, then put Cassio like somewhere here, so she's going to hit their front line. And then if you're like pushing levels late, you can end up hitting like a Scion. My phone just vibrated. Hope you guys didn't hear that so loud. I'm gonna move it off my desk. Um, this is BIS Akshan, Deathblade, or Renan's IE. You already get, of course, Armor Shred from the Freljord, so you don't need to build like Last Whisper or anything. He really likes that raw AD, not only for Deadeye, but also for Renan's. If you guys haven't heard already, the way Renan's works with Akshan is that the target that he is shooting at. So say I go full board here. Say they have like an Azir and a Lux on their board. Let's pull those over real quick. And Akshan's opposite side, so she's hitting the Azir. You know where the Renan's bolts are going to go? Even if they have like a frontline Nasus here that you're actually shooting, like the bolts are hitting Nasus, the Renan's bolts still end up hitting the Lux. They hit whoever is next to his target. So Renan's has kind of a broken interaction with him. And then, like IE's fine. The Renan's bolts, of course, can't crit, but it's still very solid with the amount of AD you're going. Any third item here I think is fine. This is like the core. And then, if you like really need healing, you can go something like Gunblade. If you have really tanky stuff you have to get through, something like GS. But yeah, this is the core. And then just tank items can go in Szechuan or Nasus, whoever you hit 2-star earlier. Like I showed earlier, you can play around Shen and just get the Renekton in to get Brawler in, or Bruiser as it is now called. You could even itemize Shen if you hit him. So yeah, relatively simple to play. Stabilize around this level 7 board, and then eventually you can start pushing levels, add in 5 costs. I don't really recommend playing Vertical Deadeye. It feels kind of bad in my experience, but if you get like a Deadeye spat, you could maybe go 4, even like 6 Deadeye. It's just that Urgot and Aphelios don't really feel like that great of units. That's why you tend to play around this core of just the Akshan and the Ashe. I have also seen people 3-star their Ashe and then put damage items on her. I'm not impressed by it, but that is something you can do if you need a secondary carry. I'm sorry, I got rid of her. But yeah, that is something you can do as well. On to the next comp, in my opinion, the number 5 comp. This is Kayle Reroll. If you guys saw the VOD review I did of Epic Fail, the player who hard forced this in tournament and who got 6th overall in day 2 of Freljord Cup. It's a pretty crazy strong comp if you can get it online. This is, of course, the core. Like any one cost reroll comps, don't put any gold into leveling, make as much gold as possible at stage 2, and then at 3-1, we're going to roll down to about 30 gold, find as many Kales, Poppy, Maokais as we can. Ideally, you get close to 3-starring some of them. If you get really close, you can dip below 30, but you do want to have some econ in this comp because you want to push levels later. BIS Kale is Gwinsu usually. In this meta, as we talk about later, you might want a defensive item on Kale. I've seen a lot of people going something like Gwinsu Edge of Night, or even like Gwinsu Edge of Night, and then giving her the Radiant item. It's fine to give Kale or Poppy the Radiant item. It's really just depends on what you hit and what your items are. So, if you end up with Gwinsu and then you get dropped like a Gunblade or something, feel completely fine about building Kale with Gunblade and then giving Poppy the Radiant item. As far as extensions on this comp, once you have hit the board, which is Kale 3, Poppy 3, Maokai 3, you need to hit those 3 units 3-starred, unless you hit something like Kled or Teemo. If you do not, then you're not going to get the Poppy 4-star from Yordle because you need 3 units 3-star to make Yordle work. Then the other comp's just not going to work. So you have to hit all of these. As you push levels, just add more Slayers in. So, very easy. Get Zed in, get Gwen in, and get Aatrox in, and then you have 5 Slayer, and the board looks great. Oh, and you also have to add at level 6 a Demacian unit. So Jarvan's a really solid one if you can get to it. Normally, your level 6 will end up being like Sona, so you get like multicaster in, and it's nice. You could even do something like this and give the attack speed to Kayle, but it's kind of risky. And then late game Jarvan feels really, really good. Also, if you have Teemo in late game, he's strategist. Like the most cap version of this board is going to be this, and you're going to get in more Slayers like this, and eventually you're going to cut Teemo for Heimerdinger, and then start upgrading Heimerdinger if you have no healing reduction. My favorite turret is just 2 Shrink Rays and 1 Mechano Swarm. I just build that almost every time on Heimerdinger. If you really need frontline, I guess you could go the repair version, but I don't know. I don't love it. But yeah, relatively straightforward comp to play. Play it if you get a Gwynsu opener and some Kales, or like an Econ opener, something like that. Lost Streak into rolling down for Kayle. The win con for this comp is, of course, going level 9, getting Kale's level 9 upgrade, and then she just absolutely destroys the entire enemy board. So if you can hit 9 with Kayle, you should very easily be top 2ing, winning most of your games. It's a very, very strong comp if you can get it online. They did remove the Yordle bug. Well, I don't know, was it a bug, was it not, whatever, they removed it, where you could sell like a Kled for extra gold. So you can no longer use that to slingshot your economy further, but it's still going to be a fine comp to play, still going to be good under the right circumstances. So in my opinion, that's number 5. Let's move in to number 4. This is a board where if you played any of this patch, you should be pretty familiar with it. It's just a very standard Azir Lux Stream of Demacia board, carrying both Azir and Lux. Yeah, there's not too much to say. Keep your Nasus on same side of these guys usually. There's been a lot of prio actually in Ionic Spark recently, so if you want to build Ionic Spark, that's completely fine. Some people have even talked about saying that it's completely fine to build Ionic Spark plus Static Shib, because what you really want Ionic Spark for is to be in front of this Lux. So once again, if we do full board, imagine they are playing like the exact same comp as us. We really want Lux to be targeting a unit that's getting sparked. So if they have their front line like this and she's going to target Nasus, then you might want to move, or maybe it's more like something like this where she might target here. You might want to move Jarvan over here so that he gets the Onyx Spark on this Naxus. Because what you really want Onyx Spark for is this initial Lux cast so that it gives them the percent shred plus the flat shred on her ult just to absolutely destroy all of their MR, get them down to a very, very small amount of MR. So that's what Ionic Spark's for. You can also just put it on Nasus, though I really, really like having just straight up tank items on him. And then Azir just gets attack speed. Healing is quite good in this comp, something like a Gunblade. You can also put Gunblade on Lux. If you end up hitting like Lux too early, then you can put Gunblade here. But yeah, I don't know. You guys have seen this comp a lot of time, right? There's not too much to be said about it. I like Lost Streak into this. I like Win Streak into this. Just a very, very solid, very, very standard comp on the patch. And the nerf to Lux hurt it, but definitely didn't kill it. It's definitely still one of the strongest comps in the meta right now. Speaking of nerfs, here is the Kaisa Yasuo comp that also got nerfed. Kaisa got some extra mana. Does this? I don't think this site actually has the nerf. I think it's higher than 110 now, right? In any case, still a very, very strong comp. I'm actually showing off the 6 challenger variation because that's what we saw a lot of people start switching over to recently. You can still. Oh, I got invited to a league game. You can still play the Ionia version as well. I think that's completely fine. It really just depends about what you hit. This is a very cheap board, so something important to note here. Like this board, 4 cost, 4 cost, 4 cost, 3 cost, very expensive, right, to actually get everything 2-starred. So you only really want to be playing this when you're relatively rich, strong win streak, strong loss streak. If you have kind of like an game, this can actually be a really, really strong board, this challenger board to play, because it spikes really hard on level 7, so you can just roll down all your gold on level 7 and try to hit it. And also it's pretty cheap, right? You're playing a 1 cost, a 1 cost, 2 costs, only 2 4 costs. If you 2-star this entire board, how expensive would it be? 12, 18, 21, 30, 36, 39 gold, like 40 gold, versus this board, which would be something like 36 already, 42, 48, plus 9 is 57. So you can just see, like, this is a way cheaper board than this board. So this is nice if you're in a spot where you don't have a ton of economy. Itemization wise, a ton of people have finally caught on to the RFC Yasuo tech, which I will say I called out before people started like actually talking about it and building in all their games. So I mean, to be fair, I got it from someone in Twitch chat, but like, it was my idea. Yeah, surely. RFC Yasuo is very, very strong because, as we've shown in a lot of our videos, say if you are fighting an Azir Lux player and they're positioned, say they're positioned opposite sides, something like this. If you place Yasuo here, he is going to hit this Azir. If you want to know what the counterplay is, you can put a bait unit. So say you're Azir Lux and I don't know, you have a Talia on your board. You can put a unit here, and then these two units are equidistant. So he will sometimes ult here, sometimes ult here. I've seen him ult both. So, and of course, same thing if you do it like this for the Lux. He could ult here or he can ult here. If you want to guarantee that you'll be safe from the Yasuo, then you can just second row your guys. So, like, say you do something like this, Yasuo here will then always ult this Talia. It's a little scary, though, to put your Lux on third row. So definitely be careful with that. But that's why RFC is so good. Outside of that, he just wants flat damage so that when he jumps onto this Azir, he can one-shot him before he casts again, because when he casts again, he's going to go back to frontline usually. Maybe he goes on to like another backliner here. And then Edge of Night is just really, really strong, especially in like the Lux matchup, because Lux has a habit. If you have Yasuo here and say like these are your items, Lux has a habit of just targeting the Yasuo and just one-shotting him if he has items. That's why Edge of Night is very, very crucial. Kaisa items nerfed, but she's still good. Shojin and JG were both buffed in patch 13.13, so very, very strong items. And then like Gunblade for healing is fine. There's other stuff that you could build here. You could even go Hodge if you don't care about like you want to just care more about selfish healing. You can go Archangels if you think fights are gonna go long. You can go Static Shiv if you end up building it, completely fine. You can also go like Static Shiv here. With Gwynsu's, they can go in Callista. You can also play for Callista 3 in this comp, and you just want to build like attack speed on here and then crit. So this is like a really nice Callista build. And then as far as like other stuff to get in this comp, when you start pushing levels, Gwen is a really nice addition. Senna's a really nice addition. If you hit Combat Caster and you get Senna in, it's absolutely disgusting because Combat Caster, every time your units cast, they get a shield. Redeemer, every time your units get a shield, they gain stacking attack speed. So kind of a broken combination, so something to watch out for as well. Okay, I'm gonna keep speeding through these. We're gonna go into our next comp. So yeah, we've basically talked about the two the king and queen of the last patch. This is your Lux comp and this Yasuo Kaisa comp. So then what could be left? What could be even stronger than those comps based on the changes? Well, both of these comps got nerfed, which allowed some other comps to come to the forefront, become even stronger, I would say even higher tier than these comps. So first we have Noxus Reroll. Is a very straightforward 6 Noxus version of the comp where you just play all of the Noxus units. Darius BIS, in my opinion, is IE Hodge +1. I think Titans is fine. If you need extra healing, you can go BT. You can even go IE Hodge Hodge. Just giving his spell the ability to crit, I think, is really crucial. I think this isn't something that a ton of people picked up on, but I think IE is very strong on Darius, just to give him the spell crit. If you don't end up hitting Hodge, BT is a fine replacement. And if you can't hit either, you can build a lot of stuff on him. I've built Giant Slayer on my Darius, and it's not even that bad. So, you can do something like this. It's not the end of the world. It's just not as good. Katarina, JG, necessary for her spell to crit. Hodge or some kind of healing item necessary so that she heals up, because if not, she is going to die. And then, this is what I would say is BIS, JG, Hodge, Hodge. But, there are other options. If you miss on both Hodges, worst case, you can build like a BT. You can build like an Ionic Spark if I can find it. Where are rods? Rod, boom. You could even do something like this. It's not the end of the world if you have to build this. This is the board that you roll for, just to like 2-star things at 3-2. Ideally, you high roll like Darius 2, Katarina 2 on 3-2. But, if you don't hit that, not the end of the world. When you go level 7, I like to fit in a unit depending on what I'm carrying. So, if I have a ton of items on Darius, I like to fit in Warwick for Challenger and for Juggernaut. And if I'm carrying Katarina, I usually will slot in Echo. You can also slot in Zed if your Kled has items or if you're close to Kled 3 to get that Slayer on him. But, Echo is just the stronger unit usually. And you can play around this. And then level 8 will be whichever one you didn't add. And then also Nasus late game becomes better than Warwick because Challenger is really not that important. Speaking of Challenger, keep Samira same side as a Darius. You want her to be pew-pew-pewing the target that he is hitting so that she reduces their armor. So yeah, always Samira same side as Darius. And another pretty interesting thing, I was talking to Dorowaza, Memer, and also sometimes Hilo player. He was talking to me about the Noxus spat variation of the comp. I've always done something like this and just place my Noxus spat on Echo and then end up like cutting Cassiopeia. But he was actually talking about a different variation that I've seen some people doing, which is instead you'll cut someone like Swain, or I guess Kled if you really want to. And then you will play Azir plus Nasus. And it actually fits in very well because it gives you Juggernaut and because it gives you Shurima. Now the question then becomes, okay, who do you actually want to put this Noxus spat on? Most people say Azir. The statistics and what I was talking to him about is actually you can put it on Nasus. He uses the HP very well. He uses the AD very well because he's just up there bonking. His the duration of his Soul Eater, his steal stats, scales with AP, so that actually also works on him. So yeah, if you actually go into statistics here on tactics.tools, let me go for a little bit of a ride with you guys and type in Noxus emblem and expand this, it look like you can actually see that Nasus is actually noticeably better in the stats than Azir. So if you get a Noxus emblem, it usually actually should go on Nasus. Now, if you hit like Azir 2 and you're never going to hit like Nasus 2 because, I don't know, for some reason Nasus is contested but Azir isn't, maybe there's like a two Aphelios or Akshan players in the lobby, then, feel free to put it on Azir. Be flexible. If you have items for Azir, it probably scales better. But something to consider, Noxus Bat Nasus actually very strong. And then you can put it, closer to these guys so that he shreds their targets. He steals armor and magic resist. So yeah, but yeah, that's the comp. Player on 6 Noxus, player on Darius Katarina. It's a roll on 7 comp. Very very strong if you get an early strong opener. If you high roll like a Darius, sometimes every once in a while you'll get that orb that has Darius plus Katarina in it. Boom, it is just over. And if you can get like an early IE Titans BT on Darius or like JG or Hodge or something on Katarina, my God, the comp goes off. So this comp is very, 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 very strong. So those are our top 6 through second. Now to our final, in my opinion, the strongest, most consistent comp of the patch. This has really started to shine after the nerfs to Kaisa and to Lux. It is Zed Reroll. I just recorded a VOD of myself actually playing this comp, so that'll come out tomorrow. If you guys want to see a VOD of someone actually piloting this comp, it was me, and I popped off, and I'm a beast. But this is Zed. It's kind of like it's kind of Noxus as well. You just easily fit in Noxus with Darius, Kled, and Katarina. They fit in very well because Kled's a Slayer and Darius is a Juggernaut. That fits in very well with Set and Zed. But yeah, you're mostly playing around Zed 3. This is a comp where you are going to roll a lot on level 6 to try to 3-star Zed and Set. And then once you've done that, you can push level 7 and then look to 3-star Katarina and Darius. And then Kled, if you hit him, it's good. If you don't hit him, no issues. Zed BIS is really, really, he's a very item reliant champion. Don't just throw whatever on this guy. IE is hugely important to make his spell crit. Hodge is hugely important because it scales with IE. It gives you that crit, and it also gives him healing, which he desperately needs. Titan's Resolve is really, really strong with rogues as well because of what I'll talk about later. But rogues are going to get aggro, and then they're going to go to backline. That's going to give you Titan's Resolve stacks, and then you're going to, be able to use all of those stacks. So this is BIS set, absolutely. I talked about Katarina BIS earlier. Set just wants your tank items. Something that you'll probably be noticing when you're looking at this board is like, okay, what the hell is this positioning though? Are you just showing me like random positioning for this units? No, this is how I would recommend to position this board. You can even do stuff like this. I've seen people do the 4 corner strat. Now, why? Why would you ever position in such a strange way with like Zed, Katarina, and Set here all separated out? The reasoning is, so for example, say that we are fighting an Azir Lux board, and say they're positioned something like this, and then I'll put their front line up here as well, just for laughs, just to make it as reasonable as possible. So say their positioning is something like this. What does this positioning do? What's going to happen is the fight's going to start. Zed might walk up. He might not. It doesn't even matter. Maybe say he walks here. He's immediately going to get aggroed on by all of their units in this corner. Same thing for Lux. So, or same thing for this corner. So imagine even if they do something like this. Azir in this corner, Lux in this corner. Both of our rogues are immediately going to take aggro. So Azir is going to start hitting our Zed. Lux is going to start hitting our Katarina. Once Zed gets to half HP, he's going to proc rogue, fly to the back line, and say Katarina gets procced at the same time. These units at this point have walked up and they're on front line. Maybe say they're even here so that Set can get his full gargoyle value. Now what happens is because we position them right there, these units are going to aggro onto our front line, which is the Set, ideally. So if all their units aggro onto their Set, then he's going to get gargoyle's value. He's going to live forever, and these units are going to be able to kill their backline. So it's really just to proc rogue as quickly as possible, especially in the case of Zed. He's going to proc Titans really quickly. It is very, very strong. So yes, I would I would absolutely recommend this kind of positioning. I've even seen some people go as far as like putting their main tank way back here. So like, if you know that they are going to put Azir Lux on this side, they're never moving. You could even do something like this and then put Set over here, because then by then Set will have walked up here, he'll be in backline, and then they're always going to aggro onto Set instead of Kled. So you can even do that. I just like Set in the middle, just sort of like an insurance policy, because I would if this unit dies, like say it's Kled here, and say Set has only got this far, and then they aggro onto Kled, then something really bad can happen where if they aggro onto Kled, okay, they're gonna kill Kled in 2 seconds. They're even just gonna make him dismount because of the way Kled works. Then Set's gonna be up here, but they're not gonna re-aggro onto Kled. And say Katarina's back here, they're gonna immediately re-aggro onto the Zed. That's why you really want them re-aggroing onto your biggest, beefiest tank, because once this unit dies, they're gonna go into your Zed. And so you need to buy enough time for Zed and Katarina to one-shot their backline. But yeah, with the changes to the meta, I think this comp is very, very strong, especially with the nerf to Kaisa, because Kaisa is one of the ways that this comp deals with this comp, where Kaisa can easily like dash away from all their carries and do a bunch of damage and kill them. If Kaisa has a greater mana pool, this means that it's going to be harder for her to cast, which means it's going to be a lot easier for Zed to just one-shot the Kaisa. So yeah, this is one of the reasons I would say this comp is in meta. And it's just sort of like the nerfs to everything, and the fact that I think it was already a really solid comp. People just didn't really understand how good it was. But yeah, that is the tier list. I talked a little bit about Legends, so hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys found it helpful. I think I have a VOD of every single one of these comps. Yeah, absolutely. Up on my channel. This one's going to come out tomorrow. So if you're interested in knowing how to pilot this comp, check out that VOD. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.